afternoon everyone, I'm Gary Martin and today I'm going to be doing a video inspired by a good friend who suggested I should do a video on some of the best golf clubs that I've ever played with over the last sort of 10-15 years while I've been within golf. And you know, we're starting off this little bit of a mini series with fairway woods because I was never a good fairway wood player. I always used to find fairway woods very hard to hit off the floor, and Taylormade brought a fairway wood out, oh it must be over 10 years ago now, which was a bit of a half fairway wood, half hybrid. I've got in my hands now, it's a rescue fairway wood, which I've managed to pick up off eBay for £25, an absolute steal. And I wanted to test it to get against my own free wood to see whether, does it compete? You know, am I a bit deluded, or could this be an absolute bargain for somebody on a budget who struggles with fairway woods and is looking for something nice and easy to hit off the fairway? We're going to find out today when we compare it against my Titleist TSI2, which is obviously a club that I would buy not on a budget, but I do appreciate not everybody can afford to spend that much and might be looking for a little bit of a bargain. So we're going to test what I think is the most forgiving free wood that's been made in the time that I played golf anyway, and is obviously you can pick them up really cheap, under sort of £40. And this is not in perfect condition, as you can see, but there's no sort of shaft rubbing. Grip's really good, fresh Taylormade grip, and the top bit, few marks on it, but like I said, these are over 10 years old now, so you're not going to you might pick an oldie but goodie up, but I thought, well, I literally paid about £26 delivered for this, so I'll shut up and we'll get it in. So before we start, I better just hit a few irons, and guys, if you're new to the channel, I don't ask very often, but I've got to start doing this. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll bring more of this amazing content to you guys. I hope you think it's amazing. Anyway, I'm glad I've hit that ball because I nearly missed it. I think no matter what level you are, and no matter how frequently you play, you've got to have just a little bit of a warm up. That one felt a bit better before you start to play, and it wouldn't be a very good test, would it, if I were to get straight into hitting fairway woods without hitting a few balls first. So we get into this. I have bought a little launch monitor, guys, so I will be adding a little bit more context into these videos. I'm just waiting for an iPad to arrive, because I need to link it up to an iPad, because obviously I use the mobile for recording, and I'll be able to add a little bit more context. But I will try and give you some context today. Obviously distance wise, you'll be able to see ball flight as well with short tracer. I'm going to start by just using a tee, so teeing up, because that's where I use my fairwood the most. I use the free wood for teeing off quite a lot. It's not very often I hit off the deck, and that's because even now I'm still not the most confident with fairway woods. And but I remember that one being a lot easier to hit. I will show you a close-up of these guys. When you look down, there's quite a significant difference in the head shape. The Taylormade one is a lot more smaller and compact, looks a little bit more like a rescue club. So for you guys confident hitting rescue clubs but struggle when you get to your fairway woods, that might be partly just because it looks a bit more like a giant rescue. And I think loft wise they look about the same, 15 degrees, they are both free woods, but what's noticeably different, can't get my words out, is look how much shorter in length the Taylormade is. And I would imagine that's probably one of the reasons why this is a much easier fairway wood to hit, because it feels like the length more of a rescue club. But we'll see. Like I said, I bought this off memories, but it's time to test. So we'll start off the tee first. I'll hit 3 with each club. Well, that were nice and solid, and that's why it's in the bag really. I found these TSI2s very easy to hit woods because I were struggling with woods, but I have found these really easy to hit. But I'd have never thought about going back to buying a 10-year-old club, and that's just because I work in industry, and I can get a little bit of a bargain, or pop round to James's and see what he's got in his locker. But I do understand not everyone's you know, got that privilege. Again, you know, all these are sort of fairway finders. Sort of, they're landing round about 200 yards. It is uphill. You know, I think a good hit on a dry fairway weight, I usually hit these about 240, so I can really get it out there. I will put a little bit more into this one now. I've hit a couple, and not too much more though. Not the best most strike, but again, a fairway finder. Something I'm really confident hitting off the tee. Am I going to be as confident off the floor? This is not a shot I play very often, but we'll see. What I do when I play off the floor is I grip a bit lower on the club, and I wonder if that's maybe a bit more feeling of control. So I'm going to stick to what I normally do. I do grip lower, and I try to sort of really make sure I sweep that grass before the ball. It's not a shot I play very often, but I'm going to give it my best go. Oh, so I pulled that one a little bit. Good flight, picked it up well, but pulled it. As I say, you know, even as a low handicap golfer, I'm still not confident with this shot. It's a low percentage shot, and it's one that, you know, I'd probably choose to hit a long iron here and maybe aim for the apron of the green rather than pushing myself to the limits. But that were better. I think the only time I'd really force myself to play this is maybe in a team event, you know, if it were 2 from 4 to count, or maybe if I needed to get up on a par 5 in 2 to sort of pull a hole back on the last, you know, to tie. But let's see what the Taylormade one's like. Does that give me any more, will that give me any more confidence? That were picked up well. Sort of pitching around about 200 yards then. All flown well. I mean, the pull I hit first, maybe more me than the club. But let's see what this one's like. So bear in mind, this is a club that's now probably over 10 years. I will actually find out how old it is and when it were released. But it cost me about £26 delivered. So we're going to go off the tee first. It actually does appeal to me, this, because it's smaller and more compact, and it feels, you know, I feel a bit more control because the shaft length's shorter. But will that affect the distance so much? Let's see. Oh, listen to the sound of that. Right, let's have a look distance-wise. I'm going to give you complete honest feedback here. That's flown a little bit more spinnier, so it's gone a little bit higher trajectory than my club. It's pitched at about 190 and it's landed softer than my club. So freewood wise, it's probably gone on a little bit higher flight than I'd expect, you know, with a freewood. I've never carried a 5-wood, but to me it flew a bit more like a 5-wood off the tee. Let's see, let's have another one. And again, I can just tell straight away with a ball flight, it's just flying a little bit softer in the air. It's not as penetrating. It's a bit more softer. It sounds fantastic to hit. But on distance, I think it's pitching about 10 yards short of the Titleist. But ease of use and feel and sound off the tee, absolutely fantastic. The sound of it's incredible. I don't know if you can pick that up in the video. Listen to that. Nice little fade off that tree. Yeah, definitely sort of landing a little bit shorter. Now off the deck, this is where I think this is gonna be better for me. It might even be one I keep in the bag, you know. I could replace possibly my 2-iron with this, which is 2-iron sort of 18 degree. Oh, that was so easy to hit. That's picked up so well. That's actually probably gone further off the deck than it did off the tee. It's just the launch off the deck were incredible. I think that's why I've used to enjoy playing with this, you know, because it was just easy to pick up. Again, look at that. That's towering. That is absolutely towering. That's pitching right up at the 200-yard marker. I'd safely say this is actually probably better off the deck than it is off the tee for me. I'm going to have to hit a couple more off the tee, you know, but I'm going to tee it a bit lower because that is really bombing. If I had to choose between my club and this off the deck, it would certainly be that. And do you know what? I'd even play this off the deck. I'd choose to play this rather than hitting a 3-iron or a 2-iron, because that is just picking up so well. I feel as though I can hit down on it a little bit more, which is my style of play. I'm not somebody that likes to sweep up on the ball. You know, I'm sad to say that, but you know, my bad habit as an amateur are always to get a bit steep and hit down and trap it. But I feel with this club I can do that and it's still going to fly well. Whereas I feel with a traditional fairway wood, I've almost got to, you know, sweep up on it to launch it. And that's not, you know, I know that's technically right, but that's not how I play. And I guess a lot of amateurs would be like that as well, where they hit down on the ball. That, you know, get that steep angle of attack. That really suits my style of play, that, because I'm almost confident, you know, getting into it and trapping it, knowing it's going to pick up off the floor. I'm going to hit off a little tee, because I think that's where, having hit a few off the deck, I've learned now that I can actually move my weight forward, trap it, and it's still going to fly. So I've teed that really low. Let me see if I get my weight forward on this one. Technically not right, but how I like to play, and I know a lot of amateurs do this. Oh, look at that. That is bulleted. I'm having a lot of fun with this. £26 and you know, that is amazing. Now my big problem is now is, does it go in the bag? You know, because it's a 10-year-old club, it doesn't look very smart. You know, it looks a bit sort of, well, it's 10-year-old, but I'm hitting it off deck and tee and confident. Why am I more confident with this? Oh wow, I've got to finish on that one. That's incredible. That's off the tee. And you know what? That's tramming 200 yards now, because I'm actually hitting, I'm going to just try hitting down on this club at the same, just to see what would happen. I think that marries up to my style of play a lot more than probably this one does. If I were to get length or get that same feeling, because with this one I have to feel like, you know, sternum stays behind and I'm releasing it to get the launch, which is right, but it's something I've never been as confident doing. So if I put that same swing on this, oh, I've trapped it. You see how it's just spun off to the right. Guys, if you need an easy fairway wood to hit, believe me, this would possibly be the best £30 you'll ever spend. It's the Taylormade Rescue Fairway Free Wood. I dare to say, you know, they do a 5 and a 7 wood as well. If you want a little bit of tinker around, you're struggling with fairway woods, this is definitely a great option. You know, you could even try Castro Clubs or Golf Bidder. They might have some. I don't know what they'd cost on there, but I got this one off eBay and it's an absolute bargain. You might start to see this appear in my bag this season. I'm definitely not reselling it. I actually thought about putting it in the video for sale, but I think I'm going to keep it. I think it's staying in the bag.